for the game. Got love for the.
All right, so we got the social media collapse has started. This is by Hey Dominic. His info's up there. Y'all can go watch him. He created this video about 4 months ago, but I've been hearing talks about, social media as a whole coming to a halting stop, how it's becoming like a dead end as far as creativity goes. But to be honest with y'all, I've been on social media for like, I want to say 2021. Yeah, so I've been on social media for about 5 years now. So I'm the type of person, I'm not gonna hold you, like, if I'm not promoting a business, if I don't have a brand, if I'm just not promoting anything, I started realizing like there's no reason for me to have a social media. Back in like 2010, I got rid of my Facebook. Then like 2017, 2018, I got rid of my Snapchat. My Twitter, I got rid of that like, I gotta say 2021. The same time I got rid of my Instagram, 2021. Like, I seen the writing on the wall way before it came down. I'm kind of like that. But I'll do something years in advance, and when folks finally see, oh, it's a burnout. This is mind control low key, and it's kind of messing with my neuron patterns. That's when they decide to, and I'm at the finish line like, man, it took y'all long enough to get here. Now, don't get me wrong, I do have a LinkedIn and I got a YouTube. I got about 4 different channels, but that's how I stay hip with, pop culture news and all that. But yeah, this whole social media thing, I seen the writing on the wall years ago. A lot of folks paid more attention to social media rather than actually building their life outside of it. And when I seen that happen to a lot of the peers that were around me, I said, oh no, I can't be caught in the matrix. Let me go ghost and live off grid as far as social media goes for a couple years. And, throughout that time, I got a couple degrees in, and I was cultivating my life how I wanted it to be. And I'm thoroughly happy with how life turned out. And I'm confident if I was to go back to social media now, some of the folks that I used to follow, I'll go to their page, they probably still on the same thing. Some elevated, but I'm pretty sure a lot of my peers probably on the same thing. But yeah, Hey Dominic, he created this video about 4 months ago, but I just been hearing lately a lot about, social media coming to its imminent doom. And, this was the first video I seen come across my algorithm that, would touch on the topic. So let's dive in and see what he got to say about all this.
Great news, social media is not about to collapse, it already has. And most people are not even aware of it. We've entered an era that is so vastly different from the beginnings of social media that if you now decide to start and take things seriously, build a brand and do it the way people have been doing, you're going to fall into a trap. You're gonna burn out and you're not gonna be able to succeed in this game anymore at all. And I'm not just talking about the small stuff like, oh, the algorithm has changed again because saves are now more important than likes and stuff like this. Actually, something way deeper has cracked. Trust, attention, and the entire way of how somebody chooses a creator they want to follow. And nobody seems to talk about this. Now, the good news is, if you're a serious creator, right, somebody with an actual goal behind it, not just one of those influencer crap people, but whether you have a product or a service or you're a coach, consultant, whatever it is for you, this collapse, the creator reset, basically, is the best opportunity we've had in years. That is, if you understand how to play this updated game. So let me show you in this video what's really collapsing without us realizing, why most creators are actually reacting exactly the wrong way that's gonna hurt them forever. And I'm gonna show you what the small group of people who actually win in this area are doing differently.
I see what he's trying to say. I see where he's getting at with what he's trying to, the whole gist of what he's trying to say. Like, basically, whenever you have a market that's on a downturn, if you could find like ways to capitalize and revitalize the market and basically try to reinvent the wheel to where you become a winning piece in this formula, you should take that opportunity and, you know, sit down, focus, and make it happen. So I see what he's saying, but I just don't think social media as a whole is ever gonna go back to its golden years, which was a couple years ago, to where it was like this thing that you could not get enough of. Now it has a stigma on it. Social media has a stigma on it to where if it's Instagram, folks go there for, you know, posting pictures, faking their lavish lifestyles to look a certain way. If it's Twitter, that's the unhinged community. If you want to see some wild things and see people type some wild things, you go to Twitter. So Twitter has its own persona. If it's TikTok, quirky, entertaining videos, that's its persona. So if you're an advertiser, of course, you're going to be able to, you know, advertise your business, your brand, whatever the case may be. But it's the stigma around these different social media services and apps to where it's like you probably will have an upturn when you, I don't know, reinvent yourself or reinvent the algorithm or reinvent whatever you're trying to do. You'll have a slight upturn, but it's a doomed, I don't know how to put it, but it's like a doomed process. Social media is just a doomed thing to where it's never going to go back to the golden years where, you know, even myself I had social media accounts. It's never going back. It's not going back to the time where it was just pure. Now, whenever a motive and capital gets attached to anything, it burns it out. It burns the pureness out of it, and it just turns into something that functions like a machine. So I get what he's saying, though.
Back in the days, 3 years ago, I don't want to say creators had it easier, but it was certainly different, right? You basically just showed up and created a bunch of content. And this is where this whole consistency myth is coming from. At some point, people just started to listen to you just because you put yourself out there and because you talked about whatever it was and created content about it. Right? That thing is done. People don't listen to you anymore. We're basically right now in the middle of what I call the Great Creator Reset, which I kind of predicted about 2 or 3 years ago in some of those videos, by the way. You can still look at them. You can find them. But basically, there are 3 things that fell apart without many of us realizing. First of all, the rise of AI, obviously, and as a result of that, actually, people getting massive trust issues, especially with things they see on the internet. And I don't even think that's just a conscious thing. I actually think it's the brain's natural response of this glooming threat, which is actually a very big threat, because suddenly we can't really tell whether it's really Will Smith eating spaghetti or whether that's really an actual cat playing the drum set.
I'm not gonna lie to you, like, it's a whole lot of AI going on, but I'm gonna tell you this right now. Us as human beings, we always spot the flaw stuff within each video. Like some of us may miss, you know what I'm saying, what will make a video AI and things like that. But majority of the time from what I've been seeing on my YouTube feed, no, bro. We can tell when something is AI, especially when it's like an extraordinary feat. Like if you got a dolphin slap boxing an aquarium goer, like ain't no dolphin slap boxing no aquarium, but good try though, y'all. And then I see videos where folks be in them comments like, oh my God, this was crazy. And I'm just like, oh, they got you. And then again, is that a real person even commenting? You know? So what he's talking about, like the whole trust thing on social media, that plays a part into it. When you can't tell if the comments are real, when you can't tell if the video is real, that leads to you not even wanting to use social media as a source to check on anything, you know, or you'll probably go to YouTube because YouTube might be more reliable. But then again, they got AI videos on YouTube. So
outside, if you know what I mean. And as a result of that, it's gotten people to be
a
wary,
cat playing
because
the drums
after
is
all,
crazy.
lying has become easier than ever. And the whole proof and showing versus telling thing, which was the thing about social media that made it so attractive in the first place, has basically vanished within the span of a few months. I call it the trust recession because people just don't trust anyone anymore, and rightfully so. Now, the next major thing that's happened is what I would call the originality meltdown. And that's a big one because it's really starting to get crowded out there. We have the biggest influx of new creators popping up ever since the start of social media. I see it in my own niche, right? I see it within all of my clients' niches. People just pop up, and basically what they do is they noise up the whole place, right? And some do have good content to give you that, but lots of them, actually the majority of them, have shitty content, to be honest, mediocre content. I think right now we're in this weird phase of mediocrity, right? And this is where the actual creator reset comes in, and what I used to call the algorithm chase, right? A few years ago in some of my older videos. Essentially, creators are looking at other creators to see what they do, and they say, okay, right, other creators are doing very similar things, so that's gotta be what the algorithm must be into. So let me just create more of that. And the algorithms look at the creators and be like, well, they sort of do a similar thing, so let me just show more of that, right? Which basically results in that endless chase of the algorithm chasing people and people chasing the algorithm. And finally, we're at the point where things just get boring and pretty stale. And now this...
Yeah, that's another thing. Originality, like, because social media was just so new during its upturn and new things were being added, there was a lot of original things going on. From what I can remember, I remember Jesse, but y'all know him by Filet. Filet used to make voiceovers for basketball videos. When he did it during social media's upturn, nobody was doing that. Nobody was doing voiceovers for basketball videos. I had him make me one, and I still got it to this day. But because it was so original of an idea, and it was his first of its kind, he ended up blowing up, got a lot of notoriety for it. But like the social media space, if something is successful, you're gonna see a whole bunch of other people follow suit, you know, and that's just gonna, like, there's an algorithm that's being used, and that's just gonna make the algorithm chase those folks that are mimicking what's hot at the moment. Now, I'll give you an example. DJ Academics. At the time, he was the only one of his kind doing the Chirac News, and, you know, he got famous off of that. But then now, fast forward, you see people like Poetic Flacco, who I feel like is like an understudy of DJ Academics. And then you got folks like Trap Lord Ross, who I just did a video reaction on. They're kind of like delivering hip hop news the same way DJ Academics is doing. So, and another thing, podcasting. When podcasting came about, I remember 2016, 2015, Joe Budden was the only person in the hip hop space podcasting. Like, he had a podcast, but it was not video. It was like a feed where you could listen to. Out of nowhere, the podcast boom occurred. You know, during the pandemic, a lot of folks started creating podcasts, and now the space is filled with podcasters, bro. It's podcasters all over the place. That's like the new model for social media. It's like the new model. Oh, you got a lot of followers. You got a audience. Get a podcast. That's become the new thing. So it's like whenever something's successful in this space, people start mimicking it, and then it just, I don't know, the space gets crowded, and then the algorithm starts chasing whatever you're putting out there. And if 10 people are putting out podcasts and 40 people are putting out different type of content, maybe the algorithm will chase the different type of content. But when you got 40 people putting out podcasts and 2 people putting out different type of content, they're chasing the podcast content. The algorithm is going to chase that because they got more viewers, they got more eyes on it. So that can definitely be a detriment to the space. It gets crowded.
The whole thing gets even more propelled by AI because people just copy each other even more so using AI analysis. And it seems like people are sort of afraid of having to think for themselves or trying to do some things on their own. And I can kind of see it with myself sometimes. Scary. But AI is never going to come up with some crazy new ass way of thinking of something or have an opinion about something. So content more or less just always stays the same, and it's starting.
Man, Bernie Mac said it the best in House Party. Be yourself. If they don't like you for being yourself, y'all finish the line if y'all want to watch House Party.
Become flatter and flatter while more and more people come out and come in basically saying the same flat things, which has gotten us to a point, frankly, where people are just fed up. And this manifests in this big engagement collapse that we've started to see actually in the past few months, especially on Instagram right now. Likes are at an all-time low. What used to get lots of likes doesn't get a lot of likes anymore because likes used to be a very casual thing, but now people start to think twice whether they should like something or risk end up somebody seeing what they like, right? It's a very personal thing. And the last thing that's finally collapsing as well is the whole monetization / influencer game. And I've been seeing this.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie to you. What he just said, that was going on way before this slump and dip in social media today. Folks used to second guess liking, bro. Like, I used to live in New York for 5 years, gang. And I'm not gonna lie to you, New York is one of them places where everybody trying to like look flashy, everybody trying to outdo one another. Like, it's a whole bunch of faking and finessing. And I'm gonna say this, it happens like that everywhere. A lot of places, you know, you got folks that a lot of cities where they trying to keep up with the Joneses, so they got a persona online that they're trying to portray and carry. But in New York, like, I would watch some of my homies and homegirls, like, they'll be like, back when Snapchat, you could slide your thumb all the way to the end of the phone while holding the message. You can read the message and slide your thumb back to make it look like you didn't read the message. That's what was going on. It's like, nah, I don't want them to know I read the message, or nah, I don't want them to see that I liked it. Yeah, I mean, Mom, like, but you actually like the post though. Yeah, but I'm not fiending to like the post. Like, when you start second guessing your likes in a space called social media, that's when you have taken it way too far. You like this is just social media again. It ain't that deep, but for a lot of people, it is that deep. They take it really serious. They don't want to be seen liking people's stuff. Their follower count. They got to have more people following them than they're following people. I seen accounts, bro, like, who do y'all think y'all are, bro? I would see accounts where the person's following 150 people, but they got 7,000 followers. Like, in the inception of social media, Instagram, you just follow back whoever follows you. That's how simple it was. But people started ratioing. No, I gotta have people following me way more than I follow them so I can look more important than I am. It's a sick game. Social media is a sick social experiment, bro.
Hands-on a lot. First of all, brand deals have become pretty unreliable for the most part. I've actually ended all of my brand partnerships with all the brands that I've worked with just because it's not really viable anymore for me as a creator that has sort of anticipated this whole shift, create some sort of organic content strategy for themselves, right? Whether it's with their own creators or big creators, whatever it is, but something organic that pulls them people naturally towards whatever product they have, right?
You know what? And I'll say this real quick. Shout out to Drewski. When Drewski came out with the could have been concept, he was on social media on Instagram Live. Drewski was on Instagram Live acting like a CEO and who he was going to recruit as a rapper, give a contract to. And what started out as a joke, he ended up cultivating it into this thing, this brand. And now you see him go city to city doing this could have been thing. So that's something that he cultivated and created. Now, the could have been Love Show, like that's been replicated and done. The first one I ever seen in its own original inception was Flavor of Love, with Flavor Flav, New York, Pumpkin, all that. When I was a kid coming up, that was like the first of its kind. That's why it blew up the way it did. But, you know, reality shows where you have women and other people in the house fighting for, you know, I was watching Making the Band with Bad Boy and all that. So, you know, that lane's not original, but that could have been lane where he goes city to city trying to find talent. You know, he started off on Instagram, he made it a thing, and he pushed forward. So be yourself. Like, you know, when you start off original, you're supposed to start off original. When you start off original and you're actually good at starting off whatever you're doing, that's when this comes. But where people got it wrong at, they're starting off thinking about this first. How the hell you thinking about getting paid for your content when you don't even know if you even good at your content? Get good in the skills that you think you possess. Get good in creating your own original content. Then this will come. Just focus on having fun and creating original content. Then the money will come. But folks moving backwards, they're like, oh, I got a business model that I think is going to make money off rip. Bro, you don't even know if the audience you're aiming for is going to even like you. You don't know if they're going to like the way you talk. You don't know if they're going to like your aura. You don't know none of that. Just put content out to the best of your ability. Put your heart into it. Be genuine. And sooner or later, this or recognition will come.
Because this ad style partnership content just doesn't cut it anymore. I remember when I actually brought this up at some very high level meeting with an agency and with some brands actually, and I kind of got laughed at. They were looking at me in a very weird way, and I actually got fired because I told some of these old fashioned, new fashioned people that this is not gonna work generally. Not for this brand, not for other brands anymore. But that brand that we're talking about is now gone. Doesn't exist anymore. Done. I don't even know where they are. Point being, the old social media was all about visibility, getting fast results, and this sort of hype-ish bull market. But frankly, audiences right now are just overwhelmed. I'm sure you yourself are overwhelmed as well. Something just feels off, right? But nobody really knows why. I can tell you why. Because people see the very same content from 20 different creators. People don't want other people to know what they are really into because it's just gotten weird. What I call silent consumption is now basically the default. Because a like nowadays is an actual social signal and not a reflex as it used to be anymore. So with all that being said, how's this new game actually gonna work? How can you actually succeed in these strange times? First of all, the new game is everything the old game was not, right? It's about differentiation, not just posting more of the same crap like so many people, gurus actually tell you. That's not gonna save you. You can't outpost the noise or out-trend the AI. And here's where it kind of gets really stupid, because this is the part a lot of people and creators don't understand. They only see their own niche, and lots of gurus out there, they say, okay, I blew up, so trust me, that's the only way of doing it. But it's actually not true, right? I've been here for 9 years at this point. Yeah, I'm old. Having worked with tons of creators from different niches, you know, let's not even get into that. But I can safely say by this point that the very same piece of advice on how to succeed on social media can make one great creator blow up and make another one completely tank, even though they're in the same niche, right?
I'll say this much. How about this? Stop trying to go to social media to blow up. Bro, use social media for what it was brought about to be used for. A place where we go have fun, bro, and post just wacky things that we think are humorous or entertaining. Stop trying to always make something a business. If it ends up being a business, hey, good on you. But other than that, stop trying to go to social media to be successful. That's my thoughts on that. Shout out to the video though.
Growing up, I was doing all kinds of shit. Too many problems in my life I was trying to fix. Unaware, can't really explain if I was cognizant. I was more concerned with which block I was trying to spin.